G'day. Welcome to the hottest, or at least the longest day of the year. It really is quite glorious here. I put some stuff on my head today, so hopefully you won't have to stare at the blinding reflection of my ever-increasing forehead that you had to in my last outdoor video. I hope you're keeping safe. I hope you're keeping sane. I hope you're enjoying this lovely weather. I want to talk today about sort of self-help and self-help content, and I can't help but feel that in talking about this, I am being maybe a little hypocritical, a little ironic, because obviously, the primary purpose of this channel is to help people. But I do think there is something intrinsically dangerous about self-help. But also, I think we are wasting quite a lot of time, which is, let's face it, our most precious resource, sometimes on things that really don't benefit us. So let me try and explain this in the only way I know how. So I am someone who likes self-help content. I watch Better Ideas. I like to see sort of Chris Williamson's podcast. I like to listen to stuff from Jordan Peterson, things like that. And I don't necessarily agree with everything that all of these people particularly say. But I think quite often them or the guests they have on their podcasts do have some sort of really beneficial advice. I like Mark Manson, even though I think the bloke seems a bit of sort of conceited, shall we say. I think he has some great ideas, and his first two books at least were brilliant. But I think there is an inherent problem with overconsumption of that kind of content, overconsumption of self-help content, and that can be in YouTube video form, it can be in podcast form, it could be in books or audio books, or however you choose to seek it. I am very much a sucker for that trap. I have a whole shelf full of sort of self-help books, motivational stuff, like the Mark Manson stuff and the Easy Way guides and all that sort of stuff. And the problem is, I think, inherently, is that it can really help. I mean, it can give you some great ideas, but you get so much sort of instant satisfaction, gratification, some sort of dopamine buzz from consuming the content, from the ideas themselves. You can run the risk of becoming addicted to the content rather than addicted to taking any action off the back of what is probably reasonably good advice. So, for example, you read a Mark Manson book, for example, and it's full of great ideas about how to manage your life and how to choose your pain and decide, what things in life are worth suffering for, what things aren't, what to care about, what not to care about, all that sort of great stuff. And you come away from reading either a chapter or the whole book, and you come away and you feel a bit of a buzz. You're like, yeah, I'm not going to waste my life anymore. I'm going to do X, I'm going to do Z. I'm going to stop doing Y. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change that, and I'm going to be a better person. Which is great, isn't it? In principle, it's fantastic. You've made decisions that are going to improve your life, all off the back of this content. The problem is that sometimes doing things and making those changes and getting into those new structures and routines, as I spoke about in my last video, sometimes that's really, really hard. It's why Mark Manson himself talks about choosing your pain. To get a desired outcome, you have to choose what you want to suffer for, what you're willing to suffer for, what you believe is worth suffering for. What's not very difficult, what's actually particularly easy and actually replicates that positive high, that feeling you had off the back of this newfound inspiration, is simply consuming more inspirational content. So what you can find yourself doing is time after time going back and watching more of these videos, reading more of these books, listening to more of these podcasts, absorbing what is in effect, in most instances, sort of quite useful information, but actually taking no action upon it, because the action is particularly difficult and actually takes you out of your comfort zone and requires you to do something day after day after day after day in order to form a new habit. What isn't difficult is just to sit down, open up your laptop and watch yet another video or listen to another podcast. I've spoken a long time ago about the conflict between positive habits or quitting negative habits and social media. I don't know about you, but every new year and sometimes at arbitrary points throughout the year, there'll be people who make great declarations on social media. They'll tell you how they've given up smoking, they're quitting drinking for January, they're going to the gym every day, all of this sort of thing. Okay, and what happens almost inevitably when you put this stuff out there on social media is you get a real positive response. Some of it's maybe a bit disingenuous, some people don't really care how you get on, and that's a subject for another day. All right, but on the surface of it, what you get is a load of positive affirmation. You get a load of people coming back saying, yes, well done, brilliant, excellent, great choice, great decision, great work. Okay, and this is at a point where you have done precisely nothing. It's very, very easy to say, I'm going to do X, I'm going to do Y, I'm going to do Z, and I'm going to stop doing A, B, and C. What's actually very, very difficult is to do it. You stand a far greater chance of success in either building new habits or getting rid of old negative habits if you start doing them quietly. If you make a grand gesture of them, you will get positive reinforcement, you will get some positive feedback without taking any action. And that is the problem with social media. If you do something positive, you want to start going to the gym, and I know I always use that as an example, but it's something I've done on and off throughout my life. Don't tell everyone you're going to start going to the gym every day. Just go. Just go. Just go one day, go the next day, go a couple of times a week, whatever it is you want to do, all right? By saying you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to lose loads of weight, you're going to go to the gym every day, you'll get positive feedback and you'll get a hit of dopamine in the same way you get that hit of dopamine from positive, aspirational, self-help content. But you haven't done anything. It's a trap. And the best thing you can do is some form of action, all right? One session at the gym for half an hour, one day without smoking, drinking, gambling, one day of building a business, sitting down and actually doing something, all right, is worth 1,000,000 years of sitting and listening to motivational content. I listen to it, I love it, okay, and I'm not saying that these people haven't got great ideas, but until you take any form of action, that's all they are, they're ideas. I mean, to a very, very small extent, maybe watching these videos that I've made in the past might get you motivated to quit gambling. Because I tell you all about the bad things of gambling, the benefits of stopping. And you might think, yeah, that's good. You get a bit of a buzz and you think, yeah, that's great. I'm going to do that. But then, rather than maybe making a start on your recovery, rather than putting the blocks in place and talking to the right people, not a big declaration, but talking to the right people, what you do is you continue the way you are, and you just come back and absorb more content that makes you feel good. Now, I'm not putting myself anywhere near the realms, obviously, of the Chris Williamsons, Mark Mansons, Jordan Petersons of this world, all right? And, I hope that my content does help people with sort of practical things as well. But just be very wary of falling into a trap of, basically inaction, passive inaction, which is actually sedated through competitive, repetitive dopamine hits, from the absorbing of motivational stuff. If you're going to do something positive, if you're going to stop doing something negative, then just take action in that moment. Take action on that day. Don't shout to the world about it. With gambling, it's incredibly important to talk to the right people. But don't make massive declarations, because that will give you a dopamine hit. That will give you a positive affirmation. That will give you positive feedback when you haven't actually yet achieved anything. I really hope that makes sense. Stay safe, stay sane, stay factor 730 up as I am, and speak to you all in the next video. Cheers guys, have a great weekend.